But she had a great time, and it was a great activity. But the outdoors has always been something that has been important to me. And I think this is a great picture. Do we have a problem? I certainly don't want to come across as someone who is against technology, because I am not. And I think Monarch Live demonstrates how we can meld the outdoors with technology and bring the outdoors to our children. But we have some excessive uses of technology, and the problem is it's creating a sedentary lifestyle for many of our young people. It's fun, it's entertaining, and what we have to do is figure out how can we work together to make all of this work for us to continue to have excitement for our young people, but also bring them to the outdoors. You can see the increases in media use. It's actually quite staggering. And then if you look further at the data, it's pretty insightful that, and by the way, you have all these slides, so I'm not going to go through every little part of this, but you have these slides in your packets there. But you can see the number of hours in front of technologies and in front of the television. It's really not the fact they're in front of those devices, it's the excessive amount of time that they're in front of them. But that's some pretty useful data and pretty compelling data as to why we need to continue to ensure that students are doing things that are in the outdoors and up and active. They had a lot of changes in the eating habits. I saw in the Washington Post just a few days ago, they were talking about the fact that, you know, if you wanted to get 1,000 calories, you used to have to go to the market and buy the food and come home and prepare it, and on and on and on. It was, you know, 2 or 3 hours to have a 1,000-calorie meal, and now a lot of people sit there with a big bag of Doritos and plow that through in one setting, and you got your 1,000 calories. So, you know, it's concerning because of the implications of student health, and we're seeing this in schools every day. And to think that if we keep going in the same direction we've been going, we could have 1/3 of our students suffering from diabetes. Again, you know, not to go into this too much in detail, but child obesity is increasing in every area. Boys, girls, and every income bracket. It used to just be thought that, well, you know, poor or less educated families, they're the ones that are suffering from obesity. It's every age group and it's every income level. So we've got this nature deficit disorder. And so many things are increasingly geared toward the inside. Why is that? One of the things that I can speak personally about is there is a fear about kids being in the outdoors. Not from, okay, something's going to happen if they, you know, fall off the cliff or fall down a mountain, that sort of thing. It's more about the safety and security of children because our communications has so highly profiled the events that occur that are bad for kids. It's not that they never occurred before. It's that they occur with such intensity, and the market value of the press is predicated on what kind of crisis situations can they constantly keep in front of us. There's a loss of natural surroundings. Again, we talked about the technology and about the amount of time, but look at that last bullet. That's a staggering amount of time in front of some type of technology. So again, I think one of the big solutions is getting kids outdoors. We now have research data that shows there's a strong correlation between outdoor experiences and achievement. And you know, we often in educational circles, I don't know in recreational circles if you do this as well, but we talk about how things spiral. You know, so many years pass and we come all the way back around to where we started. Well, I can speak not only from my childhood and the experiences that I had outdoors, but also when I became a teacher. I was in a school, and I'll never forget this because when I went for my interview, I was interviewed first by the teachers, and then if they thought that you were, you know, worthy of strong consideration, then you went to the principal. And when I was interviewed by the staff, one of the things that they said is, outdoor education is a centerpiece of this school's curriculum. And then they went on to explain what that meant. And they said, you have to be willing to spend 1 weekend a month on an outdoor education experience with integrated curriculum that we design, and we take these students out 1 weekend a month to make sure that every student in the school gets that opportunity once a year. Now, you're not going to get any extra pay for that, no extra compensation, there's no perks. But if you're not interested in doing something like that, you wouldn't want to teach at this school. Well, you know, I was young and I was tickled to death to get a job, and I love the outdoors, so I thought that was like super cool. And actually it was. And I did that for 11 years, went on those outdoor education experiences. We did really exciting things. We planned together as a faculty, and quite frankly, it's something that I would support, that I think all schools ought to be doing. And again, sometimes we have to remember that we can't just shut down things because there's a possible risk because X bad happened to some kid. And of course, as a school superintendent, I'm interested in the safety and the security of every child, but not to the degree that I'm going to rob children of really worthwhile experiences. We all have to take some bit of risk in life, because getting up every morning is a risk. So these are things that I've continued to support, and there's kind of a reemergence of some of these things, at least in the schools where I'm currently working. We believe, and I think this last child in the woods, this quote out of the book is really powerful. Direct exposure to nature is essential for healthy childhood development, physical, emotional, and spiritual. What's more, nature is a potential therapy for depression, obesity, and attention deficit disorder. Again, this is factual information with data that backs this up, and I think we have to keep putting this out in front of people so they understand why we're doing more than just getting kids to pass bubble tests all year long. There's a lot that can be learned. When I was growing up, something else that was really powerful to me was my father was the manager of a small lumber company, again in Great Bend, Kansas, and they had their managers meeting at a different location in Colorado every summer. And our family had 5 brothers, so you know, just surviving that was greater than any obstacle I ever encountered in the woods. But we would go to a different location in Colorado for those managers meetings, and then we would take our vacation every summer. And you know, I still have memories of going out there with my dad, fishing for trout and eating that night cooked over the open fire. And one of the greatest disappointments of my current residence is we did not have an option of a wood-burning fireplace. And I've always loved from childhood the sounds and the smells of the crackling fire. And I will tell you that as much as you hear some people talk about how, oh, you know, kids are different these days, kids are different. Kids are no different than they were when you and I grew up. And I'm older than certainly many of you are, but I'm telling you they're the same. The styles change, the fads change, the music changes, but the essential curiosity and interest of children has not changed over the years. And I will tell you, I can see this when I do it with my own daughter. When you make s'mores over an open fire and roast the marshmallows, it's just as exciting as it was decades ago. So when we went out to these managers meetings, this particular picture reminded me, I remember one time hiking up, I love to go to Estes Park, and there was another place that was just pristine, Bear Lake, and I don't know what it's like, I haven't been there for a long time, but you could go up there and man, there was nothing but the signs and the smells and the beauty of nature. Well, getting back to kind of the beginnings of the Ed Out, I want, Keith, if you wouldn't mind showing a quick video here. This, again, shows Derek. We're at a congressional meeting on the outdoors in this clip.
Because last June, the Prince William County Schools picked up a National Beacon Award for their role in the Monarch Live remote learning program, where millions of kids tracked the evolution of monarch butterflies being born in the mountains of Mexico and migrating all across the country, and kids throughout the country were building butterfly gardens in school grounds, and all of the technology behind this was done by the Prince William County Schools. We honored Prince William County Schools and the many partners, including the Forest Service, that were part of that. And as we stood up on the rooftop of Interior and looked down at Peggy Odell's wonderful array of sites in the national parks, the National Capital Region of the parks, Dr. Stephen Walts said, you know, this time of year would be a great time of year to get our kids outdoors and active. What could we do? And I said, well, you know, let's think about that. So he put together a team of his colleagues at Prince William County Schools, and they came up with a program that's on a banner back here. It's called Ed Out. And we're especially delighted because Ed Out, and Dr. Walts will tell us more about this, is a wonderful partnership program that's going to touch millions of kids across this country and get them learning outdoors, having fun outdoors, and getting away from media outdoors.
So one of the things that we were trying to accomplish with this congressional hearing is just to generate interest among elected officials in D.C. and the area, and also recreational organizations. And again, you can see on that handout about Ed Out the tremendous number of partners that came on board to help us make this possible. And then to end this segment, and then I'll turn it over to Keith, we have a second video. This one features Congressman Nick, is it Rahal, who's the chairman of the Natural Resources Committee. So Keith.
Truly has the potential to introduce a new generation to the wonders of our national parks, our wildlife refuges, our forests, our public lands, while helping to reverse our nation's trend toward unhealthy lifestyles. Building that new constituency is a vital part of retaining support for those lands and for the businesses that serve visitors. We know from past experience that there are those who have visited these special places, that once they have visited these special places, they are indeed more inclined to support them in the future. Getting people hooked on the parks is very good for business. But more importantly, getting our kids out into the parks is important for their future health and well-being. The strong support of the National Park Service and other federal agencies and of recreation and wildlife groups, including many of the people in this room, is a good indication of the potential of this program.
Well, hello again, everybody. I'm briefly going to take us through a little bit about how Ed Out now came to reality. And the organizing partners that were the core of all of this initiative are the ones that you see right here. And of course, we have had some long-standing relationships with these organizations. And very quickly, we were able to bring on, as you saw in that handout, a whole host of other partners who saw the same kind of value. What's really great is that these folks were giving we weren't looking just for gifts of funds. Of course, we anxiously take those to offset costs to our schools so that these kinds of things can be brought to the schools and the kids at no cost to those schools. But we also primarily were really looking for volunteers to work with us in the schools throughout the year, particularly at the Ed Out Day, the day that we had, the special day, so that they could be mentors and guides and so forth in those activities. And so Ed Out is, as you've heard, it's getting kids outdoors. A lot of it is preparation for their future. Perhaps it could be careers. But we also want them to be able to have a better understanding of what kinds of outdoor activities exist in the local community. What's right at hand around them that they can take advantage of. And as I said, careers is an important part of that. When kids get to interact with folks in those careers, oftentimes that's when that spark ignites, and that's something that they see that they want to do for their career and the rest of their life. Opportunities for families, really critical. Well, you'll see at the end of this presentation today a little culminating video of Ed Out Day. But the notion is it's not one day a year. While that may be a culminating activity, it's how do we promote local or activities for families, the kids and their families throughout the year, and all the opportunities that surround them.